Today is Monday, Parashat Vaethanan. It's also the eve of the fast of Tisha Beav. So we'll review some of the halachot that have to do with the fast, even starting this afternoon. After middle of the day, which is about 1 o'clock, we already are to refrain from pleasurable walks or even from learning most subjects of the Torah, because even though we do have an obligation to continue learning Torah today and tomorrow, the day of the fast, but the choice of what you learn has importance. So we don't learn just anything, because that may gladden our hearts, and we want to be careful with that on a day of mourning. But rather, you can learn from the book of the scroll of Echad, the book of Beav. You can learn from the prophecies of Yirmiyah. You can learn also words of Musa. Typically, the subjects matter that will get us to realize the severity of the sins that took place at the time of the destruction of the temple, and how we can improve our ways. The meal that we eat before the fast begins is a meal that should have only one course. Many people have lentil soup together with bread. You could have with it some raw vegetables or fruits, but it should be only one cooked dish, whether it's lentils, soup, or some people have an egg, a hard-boiled egg. Now, before that final meal, before the fast begins, you can have a meal earlier in the afternoon, and it could be however many courses you want. That's not a problem. But of course, we continue to refrain from meat and from drinking wine. And this afternoon is more, the restrictions is even more strict than the previous few days that we've been refraining from meat and wine, except for Shabbat. Now, the seudah that we eat just before the fast begins, you eat it sitting on the floor as a sign of mourning. We also avoid saying zimun, so we should not have three people sitting together, because if three people sit together, they will have to say zimun for bikat mazon. But each person sits somewhat separately, and we sit, as we said, on the floor, either bare floor, even if it's difficult, maybe a cushion or something for that. And that restriction of sitting on a chair applies also on Tisha B'Av, the night of Tisha B'Av, and the morning of Tisha B'Av, and tomorrow morning all the way again until the middle of the day, which would be about 1 o'clock. There are a number of restrictions that apply to tonight and tomorrow, and that's starting at 7:55 in our neighborhood. That's the time that the fast begins, and all the way until 8:28 tomorrow night. The restrictions are not to eat, not to drink, not to bathe. We actually have to refrain from washing any parts of our body, including even our hands. Even in the morning when we wake up, we wash the hands only until the knuckles. That's the bare minimum. But if he was a Kohen that is going to do Birkat Kohanim, like we do tomorrow afternoon, then he's allowed to wash his hands regularly. Of course, if the hands get dirty, you can remove the dirt by washing the hands. That's not a problem. Or if you're in the process of making a meal and you need to wash the vegetables and your hands get wet, that's not a problem. Also, we are to refrain from applying any oils or ointment. We also are to refrain from wearing leather shoes. And so either shoes made of material or rubber are acceptable, and we are to also refrain from marital relations. Now, the questions come up. What about a person who's pregnant, a lady who's pregnant, a person who's nursing, a person who's ill, young children, elderly, etc., etc. So the guiding principle is, of course, one should never put his health at risk. If there is a reason, medical reason why he's not able to fast, then he should not fast. He's not allowed to fast. However, we're a little bit more strict here with pregnant ladies and nursing ladies as compared to other fasts. We do ask them to fast unless there is a compelling reasons why they shouldn't. If it's a nursing lady, if that would be very difficult for her, she would get very weak, she would put herself at risk, then definitely maybe she should start the fast at night and in the morning a little bit, and then, or when she gets to a point where she has to eat, she has to eat. If there's also a risk that the milk would stop, because sometimes nursing mothers, if they do not eat, do not drink, it might put herself in a situation where the milk would stop, and then that would be something that would not be helpful for the child. It will be to the detriment of the child, and therefore that reason we would allow her to eat. An ill person also, if he's ill, and of course his consultation with the doctor a Rav based on the condition that it is. But in general, we would have to be lenient, of course, and tell them to refrain from fasting. But when they eat, it's not like Yom Kippur where you have to stay under a certain minimal quantity of water or a certain minimal quantity or maximum quantity of water rather, or a certain maximum quantity of food, which would be under an ounce or under whatever you eat within a certain amount of time. Here, that's not the case. They can eat not restricted in terms of quantities, but still to not make of it lavish meals, but rather they should be very simple meals just to basically hold them over in terms of whatever is necessary for their specific condition. In general, again, the bathing is we refrain from bathing any part of the body. And learning Torah, we're going to have actually here in our synagogue a series of lectures, of drashot, right after the kinot, right after the lamentations that we do in the morning. We start at 7 Shachrit tomorrow morning, all the way until about 9:30. That's the tefillah and kinot, and then from 9:30 until 1, we're going to have every half hour another Rav from the community, another Rabbi from the community, who will be speaking again specifically on matters and subjects that have to do with the theme of Tisha Beav. Other aspects of the fast, yes, we refrain from working. It's better not to be involved in any type of business activity or work activity, but we are lenient in the afternoon, after the middle of the day, which is again after 1 o'clock. There is some leniencies applicable there, except if there are some compelling reasons that a person needs to take care of something. Always consult a rabbinic opinion to get a heter, to get a permission. But in general, it's been said that the money that is earned on the day of Tisha B'Av doesn't have beracha in it. There is no blessing associated with it. I've been asked this week, can people read Tehillim on the day of Tisha B'Av? As that qualifies one of these parts that you can read. And the answer to that is, if you're saying Tehillim for a sick person, then yes, you can say it anytime during the day. If just because you read Tehillim on a daily basis, and then Tisha B'Av, you want to continue your daily routine, then it may not be said for sure in the morning. Some hold that in the afternoon, after middle of the day, you can say it. While others say that preferably it's not said. Also, in general, we refrain from greeting each other on Tisha B'Av. We don't say, hey, how you doing, And also, we don't send gifts or receive gifts on Tisha B'Av. If a Brit Milah took place, that's still, gifts we don't give on the day of Tisha B'Av. We can wait until the next day to send a gift. That's in general the rules and some of the halachot of Tisha B'Av, but really, truly, again, with all these restrictions, we are to be careful not to lose a very important aspect of today, tonight, tomorrow, which is this should be a day of inspiration. While we mourn the destruction of the temple, we should figure out and think and realize, just like the word Echad, the beginning of the scroll of Lamentations, is spelled in Bereshit as Ayeka. Where are you? Where are you holding? Come, like Hashem saying, where are you hiding? Or why aren't you connecting with me? This day should be as a day to reconnect with Hashem, to think of what it is that we can improve, and to bring it from a point of being a day of a lot of sadness, and it should be commemorated as such, to come out of this day with some resolutions of how to relate with one another and how to improve our ways, so that it can be a day of inspiration. And Chachamim tell us the Mashiach will be born on the day of Tisha B'Av, so within the day of adversity and mourning, there are seeds of hope and renewal, and God willing, may the Mashiach come b'mehera b'yameinu, amen, k'ri ratzon. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.